a little bit over a year ago, I faced the biggest setback of my life thus far. I literally lost everything. And I mean, I literally lost everything and had to start over with nothing. And the worst part is that it was done to me, and it wasn't fair, and it wasn't just, and there was nothing I could do about it. It's done. But needless to say, I was stuck in a deep, dark place for a while. And then suddenly something shifted in me. I started doing something, a tiny little, small little shift that literally changed everything for me. It turned my greatest source of pain into one of the most transformative experiences of my life so far. And I would love to share that with you guys, because I'm sure that there's not a person on earth who's not or hasn't gone through something similar. And I want to share with you my story. I'll go into it a little bit more and use it as an example to show you how I really worked through it and how I used this little trick to really unearth a world of growth and opportunity that I just would have been clueless about otherwise. And then we'll go through doing something together where I'll guide you through how you can quickly do this for yourself. You can do this today, and you can do it with any past pain, future pain, current pain issue that you have. So yes, this is how to turn struggle into gold. So let's get into this sad little story. My husband and I were living in a beautiful, wonderful, beautiful place that we really loved deeply. It was on a farm. It was really just the closest thing I had ever experienced, to paradise. It was really, and we had lived there for the past 6 years. Our son was born there. We built a business there, blood, sweat, and tears. We thought we were going to be there for the long term. We really loved every day there. My husband and I were both able to work from home, and we ran our business from the farm. We raised our child there. We spent every day on the farm together. It really looked idyllic from the outside, and for the most part, it was to us really the way we wanted to live. But unfortunately, we were sort of forced to decide to pack up and literally leave everything behind. So we couldn't take the business with us that we built there. And so we lost everything that we had put into it. And we had to move just with all of our furniture. I had to put it all in a storage container. And I had to move back to the other side of the country, to the city that my husband and I grew up in, where we are currently now. And I had to move back in with my parents, believe it or not. There's nothing that will make you feel just more inept as a human being than having to do that. And have I mentioned that this was in This was just the day after my 39th birthday. So I spent the next year living with my parents. My husband and I felt tired. We felt exhausted. We had had a legal battle for a year and a half then already, and we had gotten nothing out of it. So we were basically poorer than we were when we started with the legal battle. And yeah, we had literally nothing to show for it. We were just exhausted, run down, and we were sad. We were really, really sad and hurt. And it was really hard to make sense of it because it really felt so pointless. And yeah. But so we were really in a bad place. Because we felt so resentful of the situation, it was really hard to move through it properly. And so we would keep sort of replaying the situation to ourselves and to each other. And it just kept us stuck in this place of, why did this happen to us? You know, the unfairness of it all. And the more we kept asking, you know, how is this fair and why did this happen to us, the more it kept us stuck, feeling like victims, feeling powerless. And yeah, it was a horrible time, really. It was the anxiety you feel every day. We had no income. We had we didn't even have a car at that stage because we had to sell everything and, you know, leave with what we could take. And yeah, we were just in a really bad place. So I really realized about a month or two after the dust had settled and we were now living with my mom, my husband and I, and our 4-year-old son, I might add, just adds an extra level of difficulty to the whole situation. When the dust had settled, I realized that I really needed to move on from this because it was busy sort of eating me alive inside, and I couldn't adequately focus on anything positive or anything of worthwhile. And I knew I needed to because I needed to rebuild a new life. And so I wanted to desperately move on. I wanted to get out of the victim, you know, why us? Why did this happen? Whatever. But I couldn't just let it go. I couldn't just say, you know, let bygones be bygones and let's just, you know, let it slide and let's just pretend it never happened. That was impossible for me. But so I knew that I had to move on in a way that made sense to me. I knew I had to make sense of the situation to some degree in order to move on. And I remember journaling about this because if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that I'm a very big Artist Way advocate, and I actually started doing the Artist Way during this difficult time I had while we were still living on the farm. And so all the videos that I shot, you'll see at the beginning of my YouTube channel, all the beginning videos were actually shot on the farm. And I only published them this year when my life started looking like a normal life again. So because I was doing my morning pages every morning, obviously, what was top of mind was every single day, like just writing, I hate this. Like, I need to get out of here. I can't stand this anymore. I was reading my morning pages entries while I was writing my notes for this video. And yeah, it's hard actually reading it now because it really takes me back there. And there was one point where I just wrote, I can't keep asking myself this question. I can't keep asking myself, why me? Because the answer isn't going to magically appear. And that's when I remembered, and I can't believe that I forgot this, but one of my favorite quotes in the world, and I tell people this all the time, is something I heard. I think it was Tony Robbins that said this, but he said, if it was him, he said that the quality of your life is relative to the quality of questions that you ask yourself. And I remember thinking, but all I'm asking myself is, why me? Why me? Why me? What if I changed the question? Because it doesn't really sound like a good question, because what could the answer possibly, how could the answer possibly help me? And then I also remembered that I read a book by Gay Hendricks, which was all about making a big leap in your life. And it was all about upper limits. And it's the video I made just before this one, I think, was about how to get out of your upper limiting issues. And the big thing he said was to wonder, to be curious about your life, and especially your problems, and think about them in a curious, light-hearted, open, sort of real wonder. And that is when the shift happened for me, because I said, I wonder how this situation is for me, is contributing to what I want. I wonder how it is helping me, essentially. And immediately I felt a shift, but the answers I was coming up with was, slightly generic and slightly obvious. Like, okay, obviously it's nice to now be with family, because we were living on a farm for so long. It was quite isolating. We liked it, but I mean, it's nice now that we're living with my mom, and our families are now nearby, and my son can actually spend time with his grandparents, and that's a plus. But that's more like looking for the silver lining around the biggest, darkest cloud you can find. So yes, okay, that was making sort of lemonade out of lemons. But I kept improving on the questions, and I kept journaling about it every day whenever I had a chance. I kept thinking of better questions, and I was astonished at how I was literally sitting on a gold mine of growth opportunities. I was sitting on it was unbeknownst to me, but it was as if the better questions I asked, the better answers I got, the more helpful answers I got. And my focus, it was really my focus that had shifted, because I was so focused on my pain the whole time, and about the unfairness of the situation, and about what we had lost and what we now don't have. But I wasn't focused at all on what I gained and what I could be in the process of gaining. Was not focusing on that at all, just because of the questions that I was asking myself. And so a couple of things happened after I started asking myself better questions. And we will get into the questions just now. I will give you so many questions. You will not have enough time to journal on all these questions. But when I started doing this exercise and I journaled about it, or just wrote in it in my morning pages every day, I realized that I was able to let go of the pain and the resentment that was so raw and like an open wound in my life every day. I was able to let go of it. I was able to actually properly digest and work through my emotions. Because this whole process wasn't about You know, pain is unavoidable. Pain and problems are unavoidable. And it's not about dismissing the pain. It's just about creating that purpose in your pain. Because I truly believe that all purpose is in some weird way hidden in our pain. I mean, that's my theory. I haven't really thought it through that much, but I have a hunch that that could be the case. And that's why it's so weird, because I mean, we're all just trying to run away from our pain constantly, but we're missing the lessons. That's like the gold nuggets that can be mined from when you ask yourself these questions. And the other thing that happened was that I finally realized that forever in my mind, this whole terrible bad thing that happened to us, I have transformed it forever in my mind. I've changed the narrative essentially on what that story was, and it would never be again this sad, horrible, oh, we were such victims. And I mean, yes, that it did happen. It happened, but its meaning in my own mind has changed. And I thought, well, how great, because now forever that story will have a different meaning for me, which means that my story about myself has changed. And it means that my story about all my future struggles will also be different. Because I will never again walk into a situation or walk out of a situation the same. I feel like it was an exercise in being anti-fragile, where you walk out of a situation not just surviving it. It's not just, oh, I survived. It's like, no, I actually walked out of it better. Okay, it was like 3 months after I'd walked out of it, or actually more, but the point is just that I made it out better, stronger. And right now, my life is not perfect and wonderful, but I feel completely different about it. I don't feel like this defeated victim that, is so hard done by, and I feel like I've just gotten a new lease on life. I've just gotten a second chance to sort of start the game from the beginning, redesign my life, reimagine what it is that I want. And it made me really see what I was really grateful for in my life. And that even though most things, all the things that we lost, were not the most important things in my life, and that the most important things in my life I still have, and I'm very, very grateful for that. So, with that all said, I want you to, if you want, get a notebook, get a pen, and I'm going to run you through this little exercise. If you want, you can just maybe take some screenshots. If you are smart like that, then you will do that. But I will also put an entire, maybe like a Google Doc or something in the description that you can download with, I think it's like, I don't even know how many questions, probably like 30 or something. Questions that you can keep in your journal or wherever and use to journal with. So the first step is obviously just to write down your problem. Like I said, the great thing about this is that you can use this on past problems because the lessons are still there. You just haven't mined them yet. So write about any struggle, anything that I guess is top of mind for you, something that is hard to get over, something that you think about regularly and that maybe still brings up a lot of sort of raw emotion for you. Or maybe it's something that you're currently going through, because I mean, let's face it, we are all going through stuff. It feels like constantly. And just write down that problem and write down, specifically note the emotions that are all attached to that situation, how it really makes you feel. And then you're going to, instead of instead of like me saying why me, you're going to ask yourself, how is this current shit situation working for me? How could it possibly be serving me? Okay? What parts of me have grown because of this situation? What strengths did I discover through this terrible, difficult situation about myself? What strengths and resilience have I noticed in myself? And what positive opportunities or relationships have emerged from this bad thing happening to me? Now, like I said, I'm going to put a whole list of other questions, but you will really be surprised at what comes up, because I had no idea that I could find a single positive thing in this whole experience. And I was able to, after asking these questions, I realized I almost don't have enough time to even do this exercise. I actually have so much to say about it in the positive column of what I have gained from this situation, that it was actually insane. And which is obviously why I thought, bitch, make a video about it. Okay, the last thing I want to say is that if you want to, maybe, I don't know, maybe download the questions, but also maybe think about doing morning pages if you're not doing it already, because I'll put a video in the description or wherever that I did about morning pages. And if you are in a rut, and if you are, coming off a bad ride, I'm going to suggest that you maybe think about doing the artist way. I am not paid to sell this to anybody, but I think that it is a amazing tool for almost anyone. You don't even have to be an artist. It's literally just life-saving, honestly. And I mean, you just have to buy the book. It's literally all you have to do. Now, you can also buy my companion workbook, which will make it much easier, which is like, I think like $10 or something on Etsy, but you don't have to, really. No one's holding a gun to your head, but please do the artist way, because why not? So yes, I hope you found this helpful. If you don't mind, you can please comment and let me know maybe what struggles you have recently been facing, and if you've tried this exercise, please let me know if it has helped you. And I want to thank you for watching and listening to my sad, soppy story. I hope it helps you, because I know we're all going through something. So all my love and good vibes, and hasta la vista.